It consists of an alliance of two or more minds working in perfect harmony for the attainment of a common, definite objective. And this is from Think and Grow Rich. Who's read this book? Awesome. So like my goal for the weekend is you guys get a bunch of audiobooks and a bunch of books that have been referenced and you're ready to listen to. And these are a little glimpse, but no two minds ever come together without a third invisible mind, which could be likened to a third mind. And so that's the power of a mastermind. We all sit in a room for an afternoon, mastermind what's going on with your investing journey and where you guys are heading and where you guys are going, and help each other out. Because I think days like today, for me personally, like when I go to the Collective Genius, when I go sit in rooms like this is the biggest ROI. This is where I get most of the ideas that we implement. Like I've created very few original ideas, but I have masterminded well with other people and implemented well. That's how I like to play the game. And then I love this from Proverbs, surely you need guidance to wage war. Victory is won through many advisors. So that's what we're all doing for each other today. This is God's way, allowing me and my team to exercise our talents. Keep notes, read through your notes on the plane home, pick the one thing you're gonna start implementing. And I recommend always pick one audiobook and start studying that. I have zero struggle doing this, but I think I can mastermind well because I just show up knowing I'm the dumbest person here. And I'm just here to learn. And so once you let that ego down, because I've seen a lot of people come and be like, I'm the smartest guy here, and they don't learn. But if you're here to learn, if you can let the ego drop, you can learn a lot fast. Who's read this? Gap in the Game. Great book. Main thing is don't compare yourselves to others. All of you guys have your major definite aim. All of you guys have your own targets that you're going to. Compare yourself to who you were 90 days ago, 6 months ago, not to people in the room. It's just a recipe for dissatisfaction. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Stay in the game. Jamie, when we met a year ago, how many houses you bought? How many you bought now? So you're a pretty experienced investor, 12 months. You gotta recognize that, celebrate that, get in the game about it. This is my favorite Jordan Peterson quote, and I hate it and I love it. But that what you need the most will be found where you least want to look. It's like my favorite and least favorite paradox. There's a thing called mimetic desire, that you want something just because somebody else has it, and that can happen in masterminds too. So just be wary, hey, is this what I really want? That's great that other person has it, doesn't mean that I want it. And in my experience, best masterminds will make you uncomfortable in an uncomfortable environment. And so you always want to be, especially as you're growing, you want to be on that border between chaos and order. Once you accept that's where you got to be, it's a lot of fun. Because we're citizens of the most abundant society ever. Raise your hand if things are going pretty good. But that doesn't mean there's not chaos. That doesn't mean there's not problems to solve. That doesn't mean that there's not anxieties. Just recognize, stay in the game, that we're crushing. We're just trying to crush a little bit more. And then also recognize, this is from Vern Harnish and Scaling Up, but what you guys are trying to do is not easy. It's not exactly simple, but it's not easy. 96% of active businesses make under $1 million. And then Vern Harnish's idea is that whenever you're gonna jump, whenever you're gonna leap, you're gonna hit a valley of death first. And in my experience, that's what you need a community for, that's what you need a mastermind for. Somebody else has already been through that valley and is gonna be like, oh, no problem. I'm an avid Jordan Peterson fan. Whenever he's in town, go see him speak. I've traveled to see him speak. I've been listening to 20 lectures on perspective and the fact that what you aim at determines what you see. What determines your perspective? And we might be talking a little chicken before the egg, but what do you think happens first? Like you guys, did you guys do a bunch of analysis on real estate and you're like, oh, I want to get into real estate? Or did you have some other aim that was calling you forward and you're like, oh, this might be a nice supporter for that? More that direction? What about you guys? Because I think smart people think it's, oh, I look at a bunch of data, I make a rational decision, that's what I go. Jordan Peterson would say that's completely wrong. My gut feeling says that's completely wrong. Like, Christy knows that I can only consume information in about 20 character text. Everything else I'll blank out. Really smart people, I think, are afraid to admit, oh, that was an emotional decision. We help successful people show them how to amplify their wealth through real estate. You guys are already crushing it. You throw it to the amplifier of real estate, you forward to 10 times X what you're already doing. That's what I love doing for people. That's what my team loves doing for people. And how do we do that? We educate people on creative deals, show them how to raise private money, remove any obstacles, and then we provide a one-stop shop so you guys can start any deals you want. I'm trying to build a program that gives every busy professional the ability to build a portfolio, master creative deals, build teams, and raise private money so that you can 10x your wealth. That is the aim of this mastermind. You need a major definite aim, buying criteria, you have to have a cash machine, and you have to have access to capital. When people first come in, there's a major resistance to why I have to have an articulated definite aim. Any thoughts on why we need to have a major definite aim? When you guys are putting out fires, You gotta throw the water on the fire, right? Well, I fly across the country to meet up in Mastermind, to grow, yeah. And then I'm the worst at this too. But like I have very articulated major definite aim. What we did is we set target setting scopes. And they go through they start with fulfillment focused and end at achievement focused. Because why is the real estate guy talking about fulfillment? Why isn't he just talking about real estate? If you don't have an aim, what my team and we're doing for you is useless. You don't know if you're moving towards it. You'd be doing random things. So there's a spectrum between fulfillment and achievement. I'm a very like type A driven meathead person, so I like achievement. And then I had to understand, with a lot of help from Susie, of her pulling me back, if you focus on achievement, there's a high likelihood you will not be fulfilled. If you focus on fulfillment, you have to achieve to be fulfilled. So if you focus on fulfillment, you'll most likely get both. I spent a lot of time studying how you do that. And then I'm looking at a life goal list. I'm like, this is all achievement focused. I'm like, as long as it's a means to support an end of the desired end state, it's good. If it's an end in itself, it's bad. And so it's hard to sit and plan. Who here has a little bit of anxiety? Whatever's going on at home, I can't let it go. I have it every day. I try to go through this process every Monday. Honestly, I get to it twice a month. If you don't have time to plan, then you're not doing enough planning. And so there's real value in taking days like today and sitting and pondering your aim and thinking about it. What if what you're aiming at determines how you see everything else? I majored in philosophy. I understand the Enlightenment. I understand all these highfalutin philosophical ideas. But if you would talk to a postmodern Marxist intellectual, some guy like teaching college, he would be like, no, Jimmy, you take empirical data, then you discover your aim, and those are you make decisions. And it's completely false, like absolutely and completely false. And what I think it does, there's a great book from C.S. Lewis called The Abolition of Men. But when you take emotion and higher aim out of it, you create men without chest. People who have no heart, no grit, they can't practice all the things that actually matter. In our culture, we tell everybody you got to consume as much data as you want, and then you'll decide where you want to go. This college professor, postmodern materialist, he'd have you believe that we're just a bunch of atoms floating around and we're all completely rational creatures. That's what the culture's saying right now. Except that's completely false. Imagine treating someone like that. There's no way you don't get through one day of that without either getting punched or losing all your friends. And I know there's like some evolutionary theory that, hey, if you work best with others, like you'll evolve better, but that's complete crap too. Like, Susie, how would you like it if I treated you to a collection of atoms? I don't think it'd be a good day at the Vreeland house. And it's so boring when it's just data and there's no highest value, there's no purpose, there's no meaning, there's no God. So you've got to arrange, your aim sets a hierarchy of values, which then determines how you actually move. And the people espousing this ideas are, one of my favorite phrases, they're intellectuals yet idiots. Their stinking thinking makes us worse investors. Science and facts can't tell you what you want. They can't tell you what you're aiming at. Like all that data you consumed about real estate, probably 1,000 YouTube videos, right? Did it tell you anything about what you wanted? Okay, so the empiricists are missing something. We're aiming at something that isn't scientific or empirical. It's not data-based. Your aim comes first. And the reason you can't orientate yourself in the world with facts and data is there's too much of it. Like my Apple, who here, an O-ring or whatever those were? An O-ring is something you sleep. It gives you all this sleep data. It gives you how many calories you're burning. It's all this physical data. And I had a trainer, Jimmy, you should really get one of those. I tried it for one day and I threw it away because I'm like, this is too much data. I have this Apple Watch. It could tell me anything about physically what's going on with me today. All I use it for is the step counter. There's just too many facts out there, too much data. And so it's why you can't orient yourself with just facts. There's too many facts. You'll go nuts. I've tried doing it. What Pert said, you get paralysis analysis. Anybody else felt this paralysis analysis? Think about when you're confused or anxious. Generally what's going on, there's too many possibilities. When you're consuming all that data, Brian, you mentioned this, when you were consuming all that data, did it make you anxious? Like when you're confused and anxious, there's too many possibilities, you don't have a clear aim, and there's no way to simplify so that you can act. And now think about like when you're in the zone, when you're getting a ton of stuff done, when you're being as productive as you possibly can, when you're like Happy Gilmore, you're in the flow state, the ball's going to its home, and you're feeling the flow. You're generally focused on one thing that's in alignment with your aim. Does anybody here remember City Slickers? Anybody remember Curly? So City Slickers is there's a city slicker who's all anxious about his life, and he's all scattered, he's all confused, he's all depressed because he doesn't have one aim. And then Curly comes in to some crusty old cowboy who seems happy, seems well adjusted, and he tells him, you know what the secret to life is? Just one thing. One thing, once you figure it out, you just stick to that. I think this would say, hey, it's your aim, your one thing, that sets your perspective on how you see everything else. The way Peterson's explains it is everything in the world makes itself manifest in accordance with your aim. I don't like telling combat stories, but I'll tell it today. In a firefight, when you're getting shot at and things are blowing up around you and you're hearing the snap of the bullets around you, I was never like nervous. I was never anxious because I was focused on one thing. We had that mission and we were focused on winning that individual fight. And so people ask me like, what was that like? It was like being in the zone. Now that I have some time to reflect on it, like 20 years, it's because I was focused on one thing. Then you get out of the military and have a plush life, an abundant life. And like Susie, how many times have I been at home, especially when we got started, where I'm completely anxious? It's because I didn't have one thing. I wasn't focused. My belief is that when you're focused on that major definite aim and moving forward, everything else will line up with that. Your perspective will change based on what you're aiming at. So what, Jimmy? Why is the real estate guy telling me this? If I wanted to know this, I'd go to a Peterson concert or listen to a podcast, right? Let me relate it to real estate. Before I got coached by Larry, we were having a coaching call. He's like, how's it going? I'm like, we're not making enough money. He's like, Jimmy, I'm gonna give you 3 things: customer, team, or profit. Give me the order you believe they should go in. And I was like, profit, team, customer. So my aim was profit. Blah, 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 blah. I didn't have a DES yet. And so my aim, everything I saw was not enough. Larry was like, you might want to consider the fact that the hierarchy is team, customer, profit. Change my aim and my desired end state to pour into the team, to develop the team, to build the best team that can support the best customers, and then profit takes care of itself. So that's a story about how when I changed my aim, everything else I saw changed. Like struggles we have in the business, how can I help the team member get better? How can I get better as a leader? It's a much more fun game. Who here has had a water heater go out? If your aim is to build wealth over time, and then this is just part of the game, but if your aim is, I gotta get as much cash flow as I can today, what's the difference in your perspective? And you're gonna be pissed. Same data, but your aim is changing your perspective. What is my return on coaching baseball? I'm a football, basketball guy. I like baseball because my kids like baseball. But anybody got any idea what my return on coaching kids baseball is? My financial return. On bad days with them when they're undisciplined, it drives me nuts. But I'm like, these sons of bitches knew what my hourly rate was, they would behave then. This is my desired end state. Create a life where I feel peaceful and sustainable to make decisions based on discernment because I'm living inside the grace loop, enabling me to chase God-sized dreams. God-sized dream I have is to have a great relationship with my boys and my daughter. It's the same data, but it's based on my aim. And then I'm thinking about like the times I've been the biggest baby, the most selfish, the worst, the biggest child. It's when I haven't been in line with my aim. So now when I have a bad day, I try to realign with my overall aim. Same data, different aims, changes how you make the perspective. The data, the numbers are important. I'm not saying you guys just walk around buying houses like a dunce. Don't look at anything, don't look at any numbers, don't look at any data. I'm just saying, you don't start with it. Use numbers and data to improve the rapid feedback mechanisms, and you use logic and reason not to make bad decisions along your journey once you make your plan.
Hey, thanks for watching the video. If you make over $300K per year, I think my program could be great for you. We're gonna find beat up houses like this one behind me that we just started rehab in. I don't know if the video is doing justice to how bad these floors is. And then let me take you through a spin here. This is the kitchen. Don't notice there is no kitchen, but our investors love deals like this because they know in 3 weeks, this is going to be a beautiful kitchen waiting for either a new homeowner or a new resident to rent. So if you're interested in investing in real estate in a completely passive manner and want someone to find the house, to fix the house, to find a tenant, or help you sell it, click the link below to book a call.